school board members, all are present, Perkowitz is absent. Let's move directly to 4.0, communications and reports. Before we go into the superintendent's report, why don't I skip right away to Greenway recognition, and then we'll come back to the enrollment updates. So Superintendent Wallace.
We finally get to recognize Claire, all right, from a fall sport, which is great the time. So Clover, if you want to come on up, please. So Claire Beck set the single season volleyball record for Diggs this fall with 536, so school record. And we've tried to recognize and get scheduled, but it's been a little difficult with everybody's schedule. So congratulations, Claire. Let's give her a big round of applause. And we will take a photo right over here at the board. Hopefully that works, Jason. Right? And we'll do that right over here. Scott in there. Everybody be seen. Over your roll that way. Now you're in front of Lynn. There we go. All right, great job. Give Claire a big round of applause. Should we take one with your parents too? Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, get in there. Get a picture with mom and dad.
Yeah. Jump on in there, Will. Great job. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And we were going to recognize Brent Hansen and Caleb Zedlick tonight for AAA, but Caleb has a basketball game. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Great job. Caleb has a basketball game because of the delay from Saturday, so we'll get them at the next meeting. So here, that's all I have for Greenway recognition.
All right, so let's go back to 4.0 and let's just roll right into 4.1, the enrollment update.
All right, enrollment wise, on a positive note, we did jump up a few students this last month, so we are up to 1,816 students. That's an increase of 5 from last month, and we hope that trend will continue. So it's positive. I think the last few months has been going down, so it was nice to see that trend reverse.
Questions on enrollment? All right, let's move directly into 4.2, the finance update. So Amanda, it's all yours.
All right, I just have a couple comments on the budget to actual sheet. One thing I wanted to notice is that in the prior year's column, the February of 2022, it looks like our property taxes are a lot higher than every other year, and there was a coding error that I missed until, well, we corrected it last year, but it's just not corrected in this column, so sorry about that. The property taxes are really in line. The adjustment went against the state taxes. So overall, our revenues are down a little bit, and most of that is due to state aids and property taxes. But the property taxes is just, it's in the debt service fund because of our change in the bonds, and then the state aid is potentially a timing difference, and then a loss of enrollment students. The other thing on the expenses I was gonna note, our equipment line item jumped up from where it was at last month, and that mainly is due to district servers that was purchased. And overall, our expenses are up over the prior year by about $548,000, and almost all of that is due to salaries. So our other expenses, we've been working on keeping those down as our salary cost goes up, just to keep expenses in line. And then on the other funds, I didn't have too many notes. The only thing I wrote down is on the food service fund. You'll notice that our current net is a large negative, and we weren't paid our January claims, which we normally get in February, but they came like March 2nd, so those dollars are just not included in there. The treasurer's report, our cash position is down from where we were at in the prior year by about $622,000, and that's due to our increased costs that we have. Most of that is in the general fund and the food service fund, where we see interest wise, we got $18,000 of interest last month, so that's nice to see. And I did make an interest sheet for you guys to show where the TD Ameritrade funds were doing in interest. I think that was also uploaded in board book. So last year during our fiscal year, we got about $53,000 from our TD Ameritrade. However, we were drawing on those funds, so we started at $5.6 million in that account, ended at $1 million as we were paying the costs of the projects. So our interest, as you can see monthly, keeps going down. Now, right now, there's about $500,000 sitting in that account that isn't invested until next month. So our interest is fairly stable in that account right now. And then the only other thing I had in the board packet was the revised budget, which I believe will be taken action on at the next board meeting. So that's just informational purposes. I didn't make any notes on that, so if you have any questions, I can try help answer any.
Board members, any questions on finance update? Alright, let's move on to 4.3, administration and department head reports. So we'll go back to superintendent of schools. Mike, go ahead with
Okay, we'll start off here. It was nice to recognize Claire after waiting a few months. It was great to be able to do that tonight, and looking forward to seeing Brenda and Caleb at the next meeting. 2022-23 calendar adjustments. There's a packet with your notes as well as some, there were calendars that were uploaded, and just so everybody is aware and it's very clear, to date, we have used 4 e-learning days and 1 storm makeup day. There were 3 storm makeup days built into the calendar. One of them was June 1st, which that's what I'm gonna talk about here. The other one was, last Friday, which has passed now, so we can no longer use that as a storm makeup day. And then the third one listed in the calendar, and that's on the 22-23 calendar, you'll see it's April 10th or Easter Monday. Okay, so right now we have 1 storm day that's still built in the calendar that we can use. Of course, it would be a makeup day, right? And we would have to have school that day, or also use 1 e-learning day. Those are the 2 choices. So I just want everybody to be very aware, this calendar was adopted by the board, the storm days were listed in there. So the calendar should read that we will have school on June 1st, so we'll have students in the buildings May 30th, 31st, and June 1st, and Friday, June 2nd is the staff day. And that's just that storm makeup day, and I just wanted everybody to make sure we're all on the same page, and we keep that information out there, okay? Any questions regarding that calendar adjustments?
Do we have a limit for e-learning?
5.
5.
State statute's 5, yeah. Good question. And hopefully we don't have to use any of that after this last weekend. It's like, holy buckets, you know? Legislatively, I've sent you a ton of information, and I'm not gonna go through all of it tonight because it just seems to be changing, but one thing I really would like you to be aware of in your board notes is under legislative updates on page 2. So they asked Amanda and myself to put in information for MREA and for MASBO, which would be basically the Business Managers Organization, regarding, okay, if we right now were to get 5% on the formula and a 50% increase on special ed cross subsidy, how much revenue would that produce for the district? In our case, the extra revenue would be a little over $1.6 million, which is a lot of money. However, with all of the bills that are currently in place down at the Capitol, there you can see that the projected increase in expenses for our district is roughly $2.47 million. So the bottom line is there is a lot of money out there that they are planning to send our way. However, we do have to really be talking to our legislators about the mandates and some of the things that are currently in some of those proposed bills. We would end up going backwards a little over $850,000. And superintendents in this region are putting together a spreadsheet how it impacts every district, and it's pretty significant. So it sounds like a lot of money. 5 and 5 on the formula is historic, and 50% of the cross subsidy would be historic. However, when you see things, some of they're listed here, the $25 an hour minimum wage, that would be something that would impact us greatly. The bill on additional prep time, it would go from 5 minutes of prep for every 25 minutes of student contact time. It would decrease down from 5 to 17 minutes. So when you calculate that, we figured we would have to have an estimated about 10 additional FTEs to cover that time. So that's how those expenses, we put in estimates for what that dollar amount would be. And I just listed some of those there. So some of those are great bills. It's just that I don't know how the state can afford those or how districts can afford those. Because if we get 5 and 5 on the formula, we also have salary negotiations going to be taking place for all of our labor groups over the next 2 years, and we want to make sure we're treating people the best we can. So this is just an estimate, but this is information they asked us to provide. Level 4 joint powers request update, to just keep, we're still trying to pursue that $8 million down at the Capitol. There was a bonding bill that came out, there was no K-12 money in it. We're gonna be heading down, group to lobby on March 29th, and we will be making sure that we're hitting those important lawmakers that we can see if we can make some headway there for some funding. But no matter what happens, everybody in that group understands we need to move forward, even if we can't get the $8 million through a bonding bill. Summer maintenance projects, we're working on putting together a list right now with Ron and administrative team members. And I would really like to plan a meeting with the facilities committee to start that process of getting things planned for the summer. We have some things that we would like to have done last year if we would have had available contractors and time. But some of the special education updates that were done at CMS, those were great. We would like to continue to do some things at New Heights, South Point, and also continue with a couple more projects at the middle school. So if we can set a date to get the facilities committee together, that would be wonderful. I attended the East Grand Forks Intergovernmental Retreat and attached the agenda to this packet. I'm not going to go into great detail, but you can see all of the people who were there. One of the things that was interesting, the president from Northland was there and discussed about enrollment. And enrollment is down at the tech as well. And one of the programs that historically has been a good program would be law enforcement. But they really, the numbers are down. They hired 2 new people, and it sounds like the numbers will start to go up. But they have some enrollment concerns as well. And one thing they talked about at the meeting is that several of the people that were there talked about how students who have graduated in the last couple of years haven't been as worried about going to, whether it be 2-year or 4-year or anything post-secondary. They know several students who said, hey, we're gonna work for a couple of years, kind of figure things out. And that's partially, part of the reason that enrollment is down as well. There aren't as many kids that are going into, post-secondary institutions right now. They're kind of taking some time and, feeling their way through things. Like I said, I won't go into great detail here, but we talked about bridges, and we talked with legislators, and it was a really good meeting. And if you ever get a chance and you would like to attend next year, I think it would be beneficial to have a board member or 2 there. And that's all I have, unless there's something I added afterwards. So let me just double check here.
Policy 534.
Oh yeah, I'm glad. Okay, so went through a food service audit, and the gal was here last week and met with Karen, and one of the things that she did say that we need to take care of was updating our school meals policy, which we just updated, like in August of 2022. But there was a change that it's about providing an alternate meal, that we can no longer do that, and that went into effect in November. We don't do that, we just need to change our policy to match that. So we'll be making that policy adjustment and bring it to the board. So, and it won't take the 3 readings, it's really a change in statute. So but that, we'll have to get that done as soon as possible as part of that audit findings.
All right.
That's all I have.
Any questions for Superintendent Coleman? All right, let's move on. Still sticking with the 4.3, let's move on to number 2. So Director of Teaching and Learning. Soraya, looks like you got a plethora of stuff.
I got a bunch of stuff for us to get caught up on. I'm sorry.
No,
it's
right.
it's just that time of the year for me. So tonight I have our president, Ms. Dara O'May. She's going to go through our annual compliance that we need to do. The committee has to do what's called a vote of concurrence or non-concurrence, and we go over everything that we agreed we would be doing with the American Indian Education funds we get. We get roughly 47,000 roughly that we work with, and we try to do really good work with that money. And so I'm going to turn it over and let her do the talking.
Like Soraya said, we have to show that we're in compliance, that we're using the money for what we said we were going to use it for, and basically the focus areas that the state gives us are, supporting post-secondary preparation. We do that by working with the American Indian students on scholarships, weekly meetings and groups, supporting academic achievements. We spend a lot of time working, Erica spends a lot of time working with our teachers. We have Ricky White do the professional development with the staff, with the school district support, so that everyone's on the same page and we can teach everyone, about the culture and the understanding and getting everyone on the same page. And we do the 3 themed powwow events. We had a Halloween powwow, a Valentine's Day powwow, we have a graduation ceremony coming up. Basically, we went to the parents, made sure that they were we were all in concurrence that we're all doing these things and we're all doing what we said we were gonna do, and everyone was in agreement, and so I signed off, and we just need the board to sign off saying that we were doing these things, basically, right?
Right, so if there was a vote of non-concurrence, then at that point, the board would have to respond to say, why aren't we doing our job? And, you know, you ask me what's going on, Sreya, basically, so we're in a good place.
Yes.
We have a really great, strong parent advisory committee. They are just the, great people who work really hard to create, opportunities for our kids, both on this side of the river and across the river. Our last powwow, there was over 100 folks there. It was, intertribals that came from, Spirit Lake, we had some people from, so it was really nice to see some strong dancers there, and it's just growing and continues to morph, so.
Yes, we would not be able to do it without the support that the school district gives us, and allowing us to have the events in the school, getting all the things put together, allowing Ricky White to talk to the teachers and provide that professional development. It really makes a big difference.
And Erica's done a tremendous job. Erica was gonna be here tonight, but she also does our after-school programming, that pilot that we're running, and the bus forgot to come tonight, so she's still dealing with kids yet. So she gives her apologies, but we've got it figured out, and it'll all be good, so.
Yeah, she works very hard with getting kids ready to go out in the world and figure out what they're gonna do. And
Any questions?
Do you guys keep track of the kids after you get them, like, so you said secondary school, so do you guys keep track to see if they stay in school or to see if they get a job or anything like that afterwards, or no?
I would say we're not that far yet, Amanda. Erica really this year has put some concerted effort into the high school, meeting with groups of kids this year. I would say would be our first year that we're really doing some really good implementation of that piece. So our hope would be, yes, to be tracking that, make sure it's making a difference.
How many years is this running now?
The program itself, I'd say we got off the ground probably 6 years ago, maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah, not at the level, not near where we are now.
Not near where we are now.
It's growing.
it's been growing.
It's
and
growing.
Getting more organized and.
The last couple of years have been real positive.
Very
It was
positive.
It's just growing a lot.
Yeah.
We got a
Part
good
of it's
group of
funding
parents,
too as well.
yeah.
And the district does contribute a lot to this programming as well. We tried to move Erica's salary into the achievement integration plan, which I will talk about here in a little bit. Also, the district has really supported the parents through some of the food pieces that we have at some of the events. The custodial, is all in kind, my time is in kind. So we really try to work together to make this work and keep growing. But it's been really fun. We have a great group of parents that have stepped up and really took a leadership role, and they have guided the ship, and that's why it's been successful. It continues to be.
Yes.
Thank you. Let's move on to 4.3.2.2, Title III Corrective Action Plan.
Okay, so Title III, we were the ding lucky ones to get picked for a compliance check. Through that compliance check, there was some findings that we need to fix. Those findings included making sure that every student who is an EL student is served by an EL teacher. We definitely have enough EL teachers in the district. What happened years back in the high school, when we were growing so rapidly, we had students who were very short credit-wise at the high school level. So as they grew to a level 3 or a reading level, we felt that they could engage in the classroom. We tried to get them into the classroom as quickly as we could so that they could gain credit. We were cited on that is not what we should be doing or at all, that they do need to have direct service from an EL teacher. So I wanna thank Carly Von Ruden, because most of these findings were at the high school. Our elementaries are, all our kids are scheduled, that has been every year. When kids exit EL, it's through it's called what's called the access test, which our students are taking right now. So if you're an English learner, you take a test in reading, writing, speaking, listening. It's a week-long test, basically. It takes us to give them an hour a day, basically over a week. And they have to score at a certain range in order to exit programming. The state has told us, unless we tell you they can exit and that you have proof that they are exited, they need to be served by an EL teacher. So worked really hard with Carly Von Ruden. We got her schedule all moved around so that every student will have access to her now at the high school level and be scheduled for EL services. That was our biggest finding. We also had one small finding. We had communicated with a parent at South Point that the student was no longer going to be pulled out, but would get some test prep time for the access test. But we did not have opt-out paperwork from the parent saying that she had opted out. But the parent had agreed during a conference with the teacher, so it wasn't that we just did this randomly. We do have that paperwork, which we will also be turning in our compliance check. And then they also wanted us to really mark out our procedures for once we identify an EL student, how they're scheduled. And so I worked on that, and along with Carly and the EL teachers, and we have a good plan in place. So I feel real confident about that, and we'll be turning that in on this Friday. Okay.
Questions on Title III, board members? All right, moving on, Achievement and Integration Plan.
Okay, so we have a 3-year achievement integration plan in place, and every year we have to turn in the budget. That's an annual thing we do. So the budget really has adjusted maybe $1,000 we looked at from last year. It's nothing's really changed in the budget. We've continued down this path that we're on with multi-tiered support systems and with ensuring that our kids have a case manager who's following them to make sure that we're not creating more gaps, but that we're filling those gaps in. Another big piece of that is the after-school piece with the high dosage tutoring. We are running that programming we started about a month ago. Finally got the high dosage tutoring up and running. The kids are really liking the tutoring piece, and we'll be watching again. We really wanted to see, we're doing some action research around this to find out, is it filling in those gaps that the kids need? So just that, we're asking for your approval on that budget again and again. Nothing's really changed in that budget at all. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Board members, questions? All right, let's go Parent Advisory Council.
Okay, so we finally started our Parent Advisory Council. We met one time. We had about 11 people show up. All the admin were there, and we just basically started with a discussion around what does parent and family engagement look like. And we used a rubric to help guide us. That was a rubric that we have gotten in our training with multi-tiered support systems around good family engagement. And through that rubric, it was really interesting to see that at every table it was a little different. So what that tells us is some people have different experiences coming to East Grand Forks Public Schools as a parent. So I think that's something we have to be really aware of and notice, and it gives us a good starting point to work on. I also attended a training through the National Family Support Network about how do you really put strong parent advisory committees in place. That was excellent training. It talked about having parents self-nominate, having a matrix that represents the diversity and the needs of your district to make sure that you have a nice vast amount of parents on that council, and then really modeling it was really nice to sit there and see that what we're doing with our parent advisory, committee with the American Indian families, that is really a nice model and a good model that we're using. And then how do we elevate that to all these other things that we really need a parent advisory committee in? So when you look across the board with all these compliance checks that we have to do and keep in order, we should be implementing a parent advisory committee that has Title I representation, representation of families of students that we serve with special education needs, students of color, families of color represented there, EL families should be represented there, American Indian families should be represented there as well. So it gives us a nice overview of what we should be looking for, and then looking for those parents to self-nominate so we can really get some good work done for the district. Any questions on that?
I have two questions.
Yeah.
If we wanna get all those people to come, would it be beneficial to put it out all the time? For every meeting, for everything, put it on Facebook, so we can get the most involvement? There's some schools in Grand Forks, that I go and volunteer at, and they have it posted everywhere, on the outside door, in the office. Is that something that, as a district, we should do so we can get more parent involvement?
Yeah, I'd say, you know, whoever would wanna self-nominate themselves to be on that committee. Yeah.
And then, I don't know, I just thought of this, can parents show, cause I know the, committee has to be 2/3, parents and community members, but can the community members or parents also be part of administration or teaching staff, or do they need to be separate? So like, if it's a teaching staff, it counts as school and administration, and then not parents.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
You would want, if we can make it as diverse as possible, right, to make sure that parent representation is there. If I'm a teacher and I'm a parent too, you would count as a teacher because you're on staff, is how we would look at that. And that's really when we started our achievement integration and we had that really diverse group of people come in. It was beautiful because we had representation from the school, representation from the parent group, and then some representation from the community was there as well. Yeah. Yes.
Any other questions on the advisory council?
How frequently does that group meet?
So we were gonna meet again in March, but there was just a bunch of things that ended up happening in March, but we're trying to meet every other month, and that was the recommendation that parent group had mentioned, like every other month would be great. So that's what we're gonna shoot for to happen. So we have one we bumped the one in March back to April because I had heard from 4 people basically that it was gonna work for them, so.
Where are you meeting?
Here. Okay.
Thank you, let's move to number 5, testing.
Okay, testing, so that, go back, we just wrapped up access testing. We have just like 3 kids left to finish up, that would be our EL testing. So we're always anxious to see how many kids we get to exit and move that forward. Teachers did a bang-up job with that, and now we'll be moving into the NCA stages here very soon, so.
Questions on testing? All right, and then lastly, family connection work.
So Decca's not here tonight, but Decca has a family story she wants to really share with you, and this family is willing to come and speak with you, so I said, next board meeting, that'll work great, but it's
We'll keep it on there then.
it's really a powerful story, and I think it'll be fun for you guys to hear, so, yep.
Thank you both. Any other questions?
Great, thanks.
All right, let's continue to move on. I have nothing from the principals unless there's something that I'm missing. I'm gonna move to community ed directors, so Pam, looks like you got something for us.
Yeah, so I shared some information with you. I did a study, it had come to my attention through this childcare group that I'm on, that there was a need, in our community for summer childcare for people. I had done a survey like this, I mentioned it at an earlier board meeting, and I couldn't get enough people to make it worth our while financially to make it worth out to offer summer childcare. So I did a survey again, and as you can see right here, there is a need. There are people in the community, that are interested in signing their kids up for summer childcare offered through community ed. It would be basic, well, not basic childcare, but we're not gonna transport people to baseball or swimming lessons or anything like that. It's childcare. I have some people that are interested in working, and so I did run some numbers in the spreadsheet that I sent you based on the average days of attendance, whether they're coming 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, 5 days a week. I averaged that out by the number of people that we can serve with the staff that we have. So if 47 people are what responded, yes, I want my child to come. If all 47 of those students enroll, at the end of the summer, we would have a balance of $25,000 roughly. Now, that being said, we might have to add an extra teacher with 47 students enrolled, but it cash flows. And I guess if you look at the spreadsheet, even if we go down to 35 students enrolled, it still cash flows. So, and that really is what it comes down to, that you wanna make sure that you're not gonna be in the red at the end of the summer, and that providing care for students is gonna come out on top. So, I guess what I'm looking for is approval from you to go ahead and start enrolling students. We would have a minimum then of 30 students that we need to operate to make it go, to make it flow financially.
Where would you do it?
We would have to house it at New Heights, in order to utilize the summer food program. Either New Heights or here. I mean, we could use a classroom here at the high school if there's too much going on at New Heights. We had a preschool program here a couple summers ago, and that worked well when we got stuff moved over, but location wise, it works good because we can walk to a lot of places if we wanna take the kids swimming or to a park, or within walking distance of some stuff. So, and we're gonna throw in some field trips in there, try and make it fun and different for kids so that it's not just sitting around all summer. But I have some people that have reached out to me that are very excited about working in the program, so they'll make it fun and adventurous.
I was just gonna ask that, so you will be staffed enough to do this, because you wouldn't wanna get people signed up and then not have staff.
Right, no, I have 3 people that have signed on and said, when can we start? And I was, they are ready to roll. And so, yeah, and they wanna do craft things, they wanna do baking activities, they have a lot of things on their mind as to what we can do to make it fun. And I'd like it to be more hands-on science and craft kind of stuff for kids. I think that will go a long way.
I have 2 questions.
Yep.
Ages?
Ages are just finished kindergarten through just finished 4th grade.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can kind of break kids into groups.
You're telling me you're gonna have 3 staff and a potential 47 kids.
Well,
How's that manageable?
well,
Just playing devil's advocate.
I understand that, and that's why I said we might have to add that 4th person. The state says 1 teacher for every 15 kids in childcare, so we'd just
we're
be a little over that, so we're
following
following the guideline. It would just depend on the needs of the students that we have enrolled. Sometimes it requires a little extra help, so.
But the bottom line, even if we're not here to make cash at the end of the day, if we
Right.
do, but we're providing a service that's been identified as a community as a whole. The cities come to us, and I think that's one of their pillars that they're looking at. So my question would be, this isn't on the agenda, do we want it added for board action?
I was gonna ask Diane, can you wait till the 27th of March?
I can
Yes.
add it tonight.
I can wait too,
That way it gives you time to process some of the information she gave you. I guess it's up to you. how
Yeah,
quick
board
you
members,
do it.
we can either add it tonight so she can move forward, or if you want to review this report more, and if you have any additional questions for Diane, we can put it on the next meeting. We're gonna meet 2 times this month,
Yeah.
so.
I have no problem putting it on tonight.
I have no problem. I don't either, cause people are
We
gonna
can
be trying to
modify it.
plan.
yeah, I've had some people reach out to me and I said that I'd let them know more after tonight.
Karen,
so.
I
Hold
do
on.
have another question though.
Yep.
So if more than 47 students enroll, are you gonna look for another teacher, or are you gonna do wait lists?
I think we'll have to do a wait list, just for space and we get our feet wet this summer and see how it goes.
Okay.
And because I think we get too big too soon, then,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
then chaos erupts, so.
Is there gonna be like teacher assistants too?
Yeah,
to
so they,
help?
this is an AM lead teacher, a PM lead teacher, and then a teacher's assistant.
Okay. I
And then we
wasn't
would add a teacher's assistant too.
Okay.
But wouldn't that only be 2 in the morning and 2? Do we need that more staff?
If I need to add, it would just be one more staff person. So we'll have a morning person, we'll have a mid-range person, because when you look at how kids get dropped off, the flow of it. Like even now with our after-school care program, we have people leaving at different times because that's how the needs.
No. So there'd be 3 people there at
Yeah.
all times if there's kids there, or
Yeah.
4.
Would you have a minimum amount of days that you want them signed up for? Like you wouldn't wanna have somebody taking one spot, one day, you know what I mean? Like,
We would offer, like if you wanted just one day of the week, then that would be on a space available basis, and you pay by the day.
okay,
The rate is a little bit higher then.
yeah, that makes sense.
So last question that I have, again, playing devil's advocate. We need daycare, at least it's been brought to our attention that we need daycare. Are we competing now? Are we, undercutting the other daycare providers within the city?
Not to my knowledge, we are not, from what I understand.
That would just be my concern that we're taking away from
Yeah,
the other.
in the group
other
of people
business.
that I work with, it sounds to me like they don't have space.
Okay.
And the
That's,
parents
I've
that
read
are
that as well,
talking
so,
to-
yeah.
Yeah, and the parents that I'm talking to, these are parents who don't have regular childcare on a daily basis after school anyway.
Okay,
And they just can't find a high school student, whatever they need to meet that need. So,
okay, well, if board members are okay, I'll add it to the agenda and we can take action tonight, so, thank you. Any other questions for Diane? All right, appreciate it, so let's move on, let's see, right back to superintendent for committee reports.
All right, we'll start off here with negotiations, just some updates. I think there's gonna continue to be a lot of negotiating as well. I mean, it seems like 3 groups 1 year, 4 the other, and then non-groups in between. So, right now, the negotiations group, the paraprofessional group, a draft of the contract has been shared with the negotiations committee members. Also, the group is meeting tomorrow to go through that and take a vote to approve the proposed contract. So hope that we get positive news from that tomorrow, and we can get that all taken care of, get it approved by the board on March 27th, and start with the back pay process and get things in place. Administrative assistants, I've been working with them. They have an offer on the table right now. I have not heard back from them on a counter. We've gone back and forth a couple of times, so we're still working through that. We still have 1 non-group contract, and that's Ron Heskin for this year. And basically, we got kind of delayed, and then Ron had to take an extended leave there for a while, and we will be getting back together here. He's been too busy moving stuff the last few days. And just so everybody's aware, we have received letters of intent to negotiate from the teachers group as well as the bus drivers group. The Teamsters, food service, and maintenance, those 2 groups are represented by Teamsters. They still have 1 more year remaining on their contract after this year. And then the process will start also for non-group contracts. So I think it just seems to be constant, so it's going on all the time. The calendar committee, draft of the calendar, we had 3 meetings. The draft has been shared with you. I think you have a couple of different copies. I just want to I sent out some highlights today, just, it was information that went out to the teaching staff, or our entire district last Friday, I believe it was. And I shared that information with you this morning. The one thing that's, all of the staff, or all of the licensed staff would have 4 days before the start of school. So the traditional 3 on the 29th, 30th, and 31st of August. Then also a day that, we're gonna move away from Smart Start at the K-5 buildings, but have an open house. So those teachers, those buildings that have an open house, like from 3 to 6 or 3:30 to 6:30, then they'd also be obligated to put another half a day, so that's their 4th day. The middle school last year had a 4th day where teachers came in either for 6th, 7th, or 8th grade orientation. So that was a contract day, and this year, next year, we'll do something similar at the high school. So it'll all be consistent, and every kid in grades K through 12 will start school on Tuesday. So we'll have everybody in the buildings. That's in the calendar. Some other things, parent-teacher conferences. If you look at October and February, so for the elementary schools, there will be parent-teacher conferences both of those weeks on Monday nights, or Monday after school, I should say. So students will be in school the 16th and 17th of October. They'll be in school the 12th and 13th of February, but there will be conferences all 4 of those days after school. Then on that Wednesday, the 18th of October and the 14th of February, there will be conferences in the morning, like we've been doing all along with our K through 5 students. It's also an early dismissal day, so there will be no school those days for K through 5. So both of those time periods will be basically like 5-day windows where K through 5 students will not be in school. It's really because of parent-teacher conferences. We thought with that half-day early dismissal, it's kind of a nice way to go into MEA break and then also into the President's Day weekend. If you're wondering why there are 2 boxes in January, everybody will end the semester on the 12th with the exception of the senior high. And the only reason they go a little bit later is we're trying to balance out the semester because it would have been 85, I think it was there's a difference of 10 days. So by moving in a week, it balances out the 2 semesters. And they're really the one building that's impacted by semester length classes. The others don't seem to be too impacted by that. There are some other breaks built in there. There are 4 storm days built in the calendar, and we wanted to note that if there had to be a storm day before December 9th, which is a Saturday, so we left that Fridays, in order to use that January 2nd date in order for people to plan. Okay? So this is a draft. I want you to look it over. We'll be asking for approval, formal board approval, either on March 27th or that April 13th or April 10th. Any questions on that calendar? I mean, the group I thought did a really nice job. I'd like to thank everybody that participated. And you know, there's a lot of thought that went into this and a lot of hard work. So. You can take a look at it. We tried to attach some of those early out dates. Some of it's kind of a compromise. Some are on Wednesdays, some are attached to extended weekends. Tried to find a balance there. And meet and confer. The teachers met today as a group. They have not notified me to see if they have any concerns to bring forward. They'll let me know. And I did say that we could possibly meet before the next board meeting, which is the 27th of March. And long-term facilities maintenance, if you're on that committee, if you can give me some dates that you're available, it'd be nice. We want to do it when Ron is available, and probably some of our administrators as well. That is all I have.
Questions on committee reports, board members? All right, let's move on. 5.0, the consent agenda. So, does anyone want anything pulled off the consent agenda? Okay, I'm gonna make a motion. I have some discussion, but I wanna make a motion to,
I'll second.
trying to figure out if I'll make the motion. Second use, okay. Discussion, questions. So discussion that I have is, Colbert, do you need me to pull anything for coaches off? So I know it's in here, but do we have enough for all the activities? Cause I think we ran across in the past, I can't remember if that was winter coaches or spring coaches for not only sporting events, but we had to come back and take action. So I just wanna make sure that you have enough for all the activities to support our students.
Yes, we're good.
Okay, with that being said, my question's answered. So all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda carries as well. Yes, I said that twice today.
As far as the coaches go, it could be too that numbers might be huge in one particular group, and then we've adjusted accordingly.
Well, that was my worry. I think I've heard some rumors of some really big ticket areas and things, and I know you've added and subtracted, but we'll just keep that administratively. I just wanted to. 6.0, opportunities for citizens to speak. I do not have any. Superintendent Columbus?
I did not receive any requests.
All right, with that being said, we'll move on to 7.0 to approve the agenda. Okay, so I'll make a motion here, but I'm gonna add 2 things to the agenda. So I'd like to approve the agenda as it's presented, with one addition, which would make that 8.4, and that's going to be, what should I call that, Diane? Summer childcare?
Sure.
Okay. So with the addition of summer childcare program, at 8.4, and then I'd also like to add 8.5, and that'll be to give me direction to engage with MSBA on a superintendent search. So I just want to get that direction from the board. talk about it once we get to that motion. But I'd like 8.4 and then 8.5, I'll just call it the, superintendent search, but I'll read the motion when we get to it, so. Everybody good with that? Okay, Nancy, did you follow all that?
I got it, actually.
All right, all those in favor, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion
Wait,
carries.
did we
have
make a
one?
motion?
We didn't make a
to it?
motion.
No, you.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was doing as I was
Approve
going.
it and then add those things. and then
Yes,
you second.
yes.
Okay.
So I was making the motion to approve what was in it, plus add
Plus,
8.4, 8.5, and get the second.
And we got a second?
Yeah.
From-
Wasn't that yours? Or somebody?
I did that
I'll
consent.
second that.
Okay.
So
That's
we're
what
going-
something feels
All right,
like,
since we
yeah.
got a second, let's vote again. Everybody, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, let's move into district business. 8.1 is to approve the school board bus purchase. So we've been, that's uploaded in the board book. Superintendent Colonus, if you wanna update
Yeah,
that.
this is something we talked about at the transportation committee meeting, that if a bus became available, right, and one did, that we really do need to replace one of our, this would be, for our special transportation buses, and, so we were able to find ones on state bids, so we don't have to worry about going out for multiple bids. The other thing would be is we do have some designated funds that we've accumulated over the years for MA billing. And, so we feel that we can purchase this bus and it would fit that pot well and money well spent. So it's a reserved account that wouldn't impact, you know, basically our general fund.
Unassigned fund.
Unassigned fund balance. Thank you, Amanda, for clearing that up. Alzheimer's. Just kidding.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve it from the government.
So,
I'll second.
Okay, questions or discussion? Amanda, how come, oh, go ahead, Amanda, go ahead.
So all the funds wouldn't come from the general fund or anything, they'd come from
It would
where?
come from the general fund, so
They
the
would come from
state, when the state gives us money, sometimes they're restricted on our fund balance, so at the end of the year, it's not in our unassigned fund balance, it's restricted for special purposes. So MA billing, you can use for special education expenses, and a lot of schools use them for buses, so that is where the funds would come. So they're revenue that or cash that we already have in our bank account, that's restricted for special purposes.
Okay, so all of that funds would pay for the bus, you wouldn't have to take from anywhere else, or would I have to?
All right, my question for you is, what's the excise tax? How come there's an excise tax?
I just learned this, but school districts have to pay tax on buses.
Yeah, that's the one thing.
And I think I asked this every time, but,
Yeah,
so we don't pay taxes on anything but buses.
not very much, but buses are one thing that we do.
It's in the
Yeah.
statute that way.
Okay, well, I learned something new too. So, all right, all those in favor of approving the school bus purchase signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Okay, anybody against? Motion carries. Okay, 8.2 is to approve the achievement and integration budget that's uploaded in the board book. Soraya's here to answer any questions, so I will move to approve.
I'll second.
Questions or discussion?
I have a ton of questions, partially because I'm very new to the board. I don't even think we have enough time to go through all the questions that I have, honestly.
Is it per the actual budget itself or on the integration
well-
and achievement? So I would say, I'm not saying don't ask
Yeah.
questions, but I would say if it's for the program for integration and achievement, those could be had probably in a single meeting with Soraya, and she
Yeah.
could explain. The budget itself, Amanda, it hasn't changed since we've had it every time, so that's just, it's really just something that we do every year is approve that budget, but I would say that it'd probably be appropriate to have a conversation, or try to set something up with.
And just to kind of summarize, you know, about 3 years ago, we were able to access achievement integration money, which we did not have that before, and it's because we are adjacent to the Crookston School District. They qualified, and we partnered with Thief River as well in Crookston. We get approximately $140,000 in aid and $60,000 in levy, so it's about a $200,000 budget.
So even with the proposed budget, it doesn't come out, there's already money assigned that's not coming from anywhere else to pay for this?
Correct. This is dedicated money that we can use to help kids. So when we get that money, and that's kind of been my ask over the years, is we need to get people in place to help our students. So this is a program where we're able to access some extra funds. And we wouldn't have to take those, but it would not be a very smart move for us to not use those dollars.
But those dollars are used to pay for this, so it's
Correct.
not coming at, like, I'm not taking from Peter to pay Paul
No,
to help the kids.
and that's why this budget needs to be approved, and then we send that in, and then I cross-check with everything, so it goes through the process.
Any other ones regarding that? Okay, all right, so all those, a motion, did we get a second?
Yeah, I second.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the achievement and integration budget signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. 8.3 is to accept the donations to the school district. I think there's 3 or 4 on there, so someone would be so kind.
I will make a motion to accept the donations from the Reading for Education donated to South Point for PBIS in the amount of $1,979.68. A donation from Ken and Michelle Useldinger to CMS for TVs for $600. And a donation from the East Grand Forks Sports Boosters Clubs to athletics for iPad for $495. Total donations are $3,074.68.
I'll second.
Questions or discussions? Certainly thank you to those individuals. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor of approving the donations to the district signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so let's go to 8.4. And how do we wanna word this? Well, it's called summer childcare, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve the summer childcare program as presented.
I second.
Okay, questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the summer childcare program as presented signify by stating aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Okay, 8.4, I'm gonna try to, or excuse me, 8.5. I'm gonna try to make this motion, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the board chair to engage in conversation. I just wanna make this formal. To approve the board chair to have formal conversations with MSBA and MSBA's reps regarding a superintendent search / interim measures. So what I would do is just take the direction, I've already been having some of those conversations, but I wanna have a formal approval from the board. Have those conversations, we've worked it through the negotiations committee, that's typically where something like that lives, but no action is taken until we bring it to the board. I need MSBA's help a little bit on moving forward, not only MSBA's attorney, but also our city, or excuse me, our district's attorney. So when we can open meetings and close meetings and things, so the whole board is gonna be involved as we move forward, but it's just a matter of starting that process. And I think that the beginning of the process is just engaging with MSBA. That's a service that they provide. Use has been on the board when they utilize the service. There's really, we're members, that, the way I see it, that's really the only service that's available to us. I mean, we could probably shop around, but it's not gonna be the service that we're looking for. And I probably shouldn't say that as a public official, but that's why MSBA has their superintendent search. So I know that was a long, it wasn't really, I really went into discussion, but I guess, so the bottom line is, I'm making a motion, well, I can't make a motion to direct myself to do it, can I?
I'll make a motion
Yeah.
to appoint you to have conversations with MSBA for a superintendent's or interim search.
Okay, perfect.
I'll second.
Okay, now we can have more questions or discussion. That was just mine. Any questions or
Is it a
discussion?
free service? Or
Well, we already,
Pay for
I think we're gonna pay for it, that's why I'm gonna have those conversations. We're already paying MSBA.
Yeah.
But I need to start having those conversations to see what the cost is and things like that. And
Yeah.
I'll keep the board in the loop, you know, if it's a small, small price to pay, we can make those decisions, I think, as officers. But if it's a larger one, then I'll bring that back to the board. And if we have to have a meeting because of that, we'll do it.
Just a discussion part, I don't think we should limit ourselves just to the MSBA, there's a lot of other ones.
No, absolutely, I think,
So
but I just would like
offers,
to at least start engaging with
Okay, yeah.
MSBA, that was the whole reason. That doesn't mean that maybe there's board members that find a different avenue. I do know from our neighbors to the north and to the east have gone through superintendent searches over the last 2 years, have hired interns, and they're back to superintendent search. So we're gonna be competing with 3 districts, or 2 other districts that are very close to us, that being Crookston and Thief River Falls. there's a window when you can start advertising. So I think it's just important to start having those conversations. If there are other places that do, that will do kind of work for us, by all means, let's, reach out to me and then we can talk about that. But at least just for the MSBA aspect, that's all I'm looking for right now, so.
Perfect.
All right, you catch all that?
Got it.
All right, all those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. 9.0, let's pay the bills. Is that what I say? I'll entertain a motion, or is the treasurer going into it?
Well, any of us can do it, but I will do it. I'll move to approve the payment of the K-12 bills numbers 124405 through 124550, and the EFTs in an amount of $1,109,679.85.
Okay, any questions or discussion on the bills that have been uploaded in the board book? Okay, all those in favor of payment of claims of accounts signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Let's go to board member comments, so, Eric?
Yeah, a couple things. Obviously, we've had some winter sports seasons conclude, and then basketball is playing tonight, so good luck to them, and congratulations for all the other winter sports teams that included. Went to a lot of games this winter, and I was really impressed with the crowds that we had at the games. There was a lot of support, and the players should all, and staff should all be proud. They put on a good show, and tell they're all well-coached teams, and players played hard. Secondly, obviously, Mike gave his resignation tonight. I want to thank him for all his years that he's given to the district. You've been a valuable employee. We'll miss you, and again, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited for the summer childcare program. I think that's gonna be a good thing. Hope it works out really well. And yeah, to Mike, congratulations, I guess, and glad you'll be happy for you to move closer to your family, so that'll be good for you guys, but yeah, we'll be looking to, yeah, it's gonna be big shoes to fill, I guess.
Amanda?
I am super excited about the summer wave program of childcare. My kids will stay at home, but I think it's really cool for other kids in the community because I've heard a lot of need for childcare, so I think that's super awesome that the school can do it and do an educational based one instead of just willy-nilly. And I've been doing the MSBA trainings the last couple Fridays online. They're very interesting, but they're very hands-on. It's been a learning experience.
I don't have too much more to say other, that you and Lindsay haven't said already, but, the winter sports were great. I agree with that. That was fun. And the winter activities, of course, as well. And spring activities are starting this week?
Yeah,
today.
Does that mean soccer starts or something?
I don't know. But I just saw it on the calendar. And then, that'll be great, and hopefully they'll get to actually utilize some outdoor stuff. And then, and the summer wave program, of course, and Mike, we appreciate everything you've done.
All right, I think what I'm gonna talk about, I talked a little bit about it in questions and discussion, but as we move forward, we're gonna be busy in the next couple months. So Mike is, as he alluded to, he's been working directly with myself and the vice chair. We're gonna try to do what we can to make sure that we have a smooth transition. The motion was made tonight to at least start that, at least we can start looking. But one thing that I do want to suggest, we'll visit when we're gonna have the next meeting, but there may be a reason to have either special meetings or either throw another board meeting in there. I'll try to, everybody will know well in advance, and that's partially of working with also MSBA has their search side, but they also have their attorney side. So I'll work directly with MSBA's attorney as well as our district attorney, what we can and can't do, whether, like I said, open meeting, closed meeting, or if we just have an open forum on what we're gonna do moving forward. There's been a lot of discussion, I know, amongst multiple board members with admin on kind of the direction of how we wanna see the district go. So I think those are also conversations that we have. We're not just trying to fill a superintendent's position. We're looking at the direction of how we wanna see the district move forward. So, back to our mission statement of, excellent in every learner, every day. Did I get it right? So, but more engagement will come. I'll do, the best that I can to engage everybody. Well, I will engage everybody, but at least I'll start the process, and I'll start that tomorrow. Yeah, this summer, I like that we're not competing with anybody, and so I think in addition to that, if you need more, you need to let us know. I know you said just try it, but my guess is that as soon as you go live, it's gonna fill up. And I should have asked this question before, but is there like an age limit for your helpers?
Technically, no, 16.
So have to be 16, but if need be, that would be a potential possibility for some of the older kids that want to engage or maybe looking to try to have a teaching career or something to try it.
Oh, definitely.
Try it out. So, well, thank you for putting that together, and thanks everybody, and we will move on to 11.0. The next Board of Education meeting is scheduled for March 27th. This is one of the ones that we would typically maybe have, maybe not have. The paras are gonna vote in the morning. The negotiations committee has kind of delegated that to Mike to do those, going back and forth. They were just looking for some, information items. Hopefully they'll vote in the affirmative in the morning, and then, so we'll have that meeting on the 27th. My guess is it'll be more than just the paras on that, and I'll have more to bring back as well. So, any questions on that? If we need to meet between that time, I'll let everybody know, but I don't see as of right now.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can we get the contract well in advance so we have time to read it?
Yeah,
For
it's,
those of us who aren't
and I don't,
part
did we
of it?
send that out, or isn't that attached?
You said send that out.
I don't.
Did you just send out the
I
draft?
sent it to the negotiation.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can, yeah, absolutely,
just
yeah,
so-
so it's
yeah.
done, it's just a matter of how they're, I guess, is when you guys are gonna vote in the affirmative, but, I mean, who's to say, I can't say how they're gonna vote.
Yeah, but just once it's approved or whatever,
Yep.
everyone can get it so well in advance instead of like.
Yeah, as soon as
missing it.
the vote comes back, or we're notified that they agree with it, then we'll, sometimes there's some things that Nancy has to do, but we'll send it out to the whole board.
That sounds good, thank you.
All right, with that being said, I need to entertain a motion to adjourn. I'm gonna make that a motion.
Oh, second.
All right, all those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thanks for coming, everybody.